Hi everybody, how y'all doing? Dave TV here on DCRTV.com for the 22nd of May. The 22nd of May. Um, yeah, I wear big boots. Look at this, big boots. So the next shoe to drop at Mix 107.3 today. Rob Carson is gone. We hear that Rob Carson, who used to do the afternoon show there at Mix 107.3 WRQX, got the boot today. They told him to stand at the front door, and they boom. He shot across Jennifer Street and ending on the other side of the street. So anyhow, Rob used to do the afternoon shift over there at Mix, and then last year. They brought Marco in. He came, I think, from Indianapolis, a Cumulus co-owned station in Indy. They put him on afternoons. And then, of course, the big news just a couple of weeks ago, a week or two ago, is how Jack Diamond got bounced from the morning show gig at Mix. And now it's Bert Weiss being piped in from Atlanta. So, it's just a lot of budget cuts, I'm told that Rob was the second highest paid dude there at Mix 107.3 after Jack, who made a ton of money. I mean, every week, every Friday, a giant Wells Fargo truck would pull up in front of Jack's house, and bags of money they'd load into his garage. Now, it was straight from Cumulus. But anyhow, it's just, here's the bottom line is, for music radio, it's a whole different game. They feel like, I think, Cumulus is thinking, and I think a lot of other big radio companies are thinking the same thing, that, we don't need to pay these guys that much, and if we do have somebody who's highly successful with like a morning show, hey, we could base him in Atlanta and he can be syndicated all over the country, and it's just cost effective to do that. So Rob was also doing an afternoon show in the weekends, I think Saturday afternoons, they're on WMAL. Now, I'd like to say, okay, folks at Cumulus, you made your cuts at Mix. How about making some cuts at MAL, man? The Three Stooges, how about cutting them? Brian, Larry, and Chris. Hey, that would be way cool. All right, folks, here we go.
Welcome in. So good to have you with us on a very special edition of News Talk. We're learning more about the killer tornado that tore through Moore, Oklahoma this week. The twister rated an EF.
Okay, so we want to let's see if we can find this.
Teachers and others.
Here we go.
Knew how to respond to maximize the chance of survival.
Once again, we saw teachers as heroes, throwing their bodies on top of the small children to protect them. The lessons to be learned, perhaps. There was a school built in the 1960s, flat roof, did not have any safe room in it. And in the future, building construction, and we learned some of the lessons after Hurricane Andrew.
Wind, per se, that kills and harms, it's the
Oh, okay, we're skipping around here.
Memory or wish
Here we go.
Well as he moves to the next phase in his career. If you're watching live in the 10 a.m. hour, let's get the phone lines jammed right now at 703-387-1020. We'll get as many of your calls in as we can. We'll go to the phones as your questions and comments come in. Do you look at this as an extension of climate change and the warming of the planet, or is this Mother Nature being her ornery?
It's one of those areas that I think we will learn more and more. It goes to some of the events, the probabilities made.
Okay.
Changes in the microstructure.
Okay.
It's exciting to see.
It's remarkable, the helicopter pilots that are in the right spot, and they know where reason is concerned, that there's so many chasers out there now.
Okay.
Bob Ryan.
I just put that clip on there. I thought they were going to do a little more talking about how today is Bob Ryan's last day at Channel 7. Bob, as you know, joined Channel 7 in 2010, and he announced on May the 8th that his last day, he was retiring from Channel 7, And we all thought, well, it's going to be in June or something like that. Will be his last day. But then it turned out we broke the news on Sunday, and then it was confirmed on Monday that his last day at Channel 7 will be tonight, May the 22nd, the 11. So the 11 o'clock. If you want to TiVo that, DVR that put that in your archives for Bob Ryan's last day over there at Channel 7. Now, what's Bob going to do from now on? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised to see him do his own website or something like that. That's certainly a possibility, isn't it? Weekly radio ratings came out yesterday. I'm not seeing anything. It's just the same old, same old. Nothing much is happening. Everything's pretty much static. Static. TOP and WAMU and Hot 99.5 are all at the top, as they always are. Whichever demographic you look at. WASH, HUR, MMJ, KYS, DC 101, Big, MZQ, solid, all top 10 stations at the moment. Nothing changing much. WMAL kind of in the middle to lower teens, down there with PGC, which is still struggling. Sports Talkers, JFK and TEM down there around 19th and 20th place. I'm surprised to see that what little traction WNEW, the new all-newser, was getting back a couple of weeks ago seems to be fading away. They're back down to 23rd, 26th place in the money demo. I'm just not seeing a lot of, nothing much is really changing. The market, surprisingly, right now, the Washington market radio market is just very solid conservative, meaning nothing's much shaking things up. It will be interesting to see what Jack Diamond's departure for Mix 107.3, how that will affect that station's ratings. Now, these ratings that came out this week were the first week of May, which is actually late April. So this is probably the last week that Jack Diamond was on Mix 107.3, and they were 11th place in the 6+ beauty contest numbers and 10th place in the money demo 2554 numbers. So it'll be interesting to see starting next week when we start to get the real May numbers coming in, what that means for Jack Diamond. I did a very interesting interview with Jonathan. Jonathan runs the Sadly Lacking radio podcast down there in in Australia, a lot further away than Atlanta. He's down there in Sydney, Australia. And I must have done half an hour, 40 minutes with him yesterday. We were talking all about Buzz Burbank leaving the Mike O'Mara show and all the turmoil going on there, O'Mara and Rabe and Oscar Santana and how Don Geronimo and all that other stuff. Some of these radio greats from the past and the present all figure in, and what that all means. And so that'll be up. He tells me tells me on Friday it should be up. So I will link to that on DCR TV, so you hear a lot of cool stuff. Jonathan has some interesting speculation about what's going on there at the Mike O'Mara show. And, we get into a whole lot of things. And one of the great mysteries for me, and I talk about this at length, is why somebody like Mike O'Mara, who's a really good big radio star, and he does a great show. If you listen to his podcast, it's very entertaining, professionally done. Why isn't he on a major radio station? You think some major station, like, even a sports talker, a news talk station, or even a music-based station, you'd want to have Mike O'Mara on because he's so cool. Mike does rerun his podcast on WTNT 730 1029 in the evenings from 7 to 9. So he is technically on the radio, but he's not really doing a live morning drive show or something like that, which is what I really think he should be doing. And John and I get into talking a lot about that in our podcast thing, Sadly Lacking Radio Podcast. Now, Jonathan tells me that whenever I'm on the show down in Australia, all of a sudden his numbers jump way up. Lots of people tune into the podcast. And I'm not to put down myself, because I do think I'm a huge star, especially in Australia. But if you Google my name, Dave Hughes, you will find that probably the most famous Dave Hughes in the world, apart from me, is a comedian in Australia named Dave Hughes. So I'm sure if I ever went to Australia, everybody would look at my credit card or, what's your name? Dave Hughes. Oh, you're like, it'd probably be like being called Jerry Seinfeld here in America. If somebody from Australia was named Jerry Seinfeld and came here and you said, hi, I'm Jerry Seinfeld, everyone would go, you got the same name as that famous comedian. Well, it's probably the same thing for me going to Australia, that Dave Hughes is their kind of Jerry Seinfeld or somebody who's big like that. And a lot of people will see, Jonathan's interviewing Dave Hughes, and they all click on the podcast to see the other Dave Hughes down there in Australia, and they realize it's me, and they suddenly go, oh my God, this guy's even better than our Dave Hughes. We have to watch it. So I don't know. That's kind of interesting. But it is interesting to have, a name of somebody who's famous in another country. So, what do you do about that? I'm Dave Hughes. I don't do a very good. The dingo stole my baby. That's about all the Australian I can do. All right, folks, that's Dave TV for this 22nd of May, 2013. It's turning out to be a nice, warm, humidity day. Summer's a-coming as we approach Memorial Day weekend. Don't forget, help support DCR TV. We're approaching our 16th anniversary, and we are a local site, and we were dedicated to preserving local radio and TV memories, so do help support us, okay? Yeah, there are a lot of ads on the page, but believe me, a lot of our support comes from your generous donations. So click on that support linky dink thingy at the top of DCR TV. Send us a few bucks on PayPal or in the mail via check, or roll up your cash really nicely in a nice piece of paper so the postman can't see it. Stick it in an envelope and whatever. You put a bag out there in the front of my place. Anyhow, thanks for watching Dave TV. Book 'em, Dano.